modern Goliaths of the gaming world, such as Call of Duty, League of Legends, and the oversaturated battle royale genre, completely monopolize screens all across the world by giving the player non-stop action, virtually limitless playtime, hyper-realistic graphics, and a sense of competition. On the other side of the spectrum, however, is To the Moon, an indie game developed by Freebird Games which sits at under 4 hours of playtime, offers zero replayability, and is completely devoid of gameplay. However, the soundtrack, plot, characters, and the creative mode of delivering said plot elevate this obvious passion project into levels beyond masterful. Before we go any further, I must tell you all what exactly To the Moon is all about. Spoilers up ahead. Set in the not-so-distant future, Dr. Eva Rosaline and Dr. Neil Watts of Sigmund Corps are tasked with a mission whose nature sits somewhere between science fiction and complete fantasy, to fulfill a dying man's final wish of visiting the moon. The two set forth in helping the old man named John as he rapidly approaches death by using New Age technology which allows them access into Johnny's brain in order to synthesize and remove artificial memories. However, to do so will take some work. You first enter John's most recent memory of just a few days ago before he fell into his coma to explain who it is you are and what it is you're here to do. Despite the initial shock, he understands and offers full cooperation. However, one thing remains unclear, and that is John's motive for wanting to go to the moon in the first place. He cannot remember, but insists it's something that he must do. A lighthouse, a stuffed platypus, and an endless supply of origami rabbits are the only clues the player is given. None have any clear meaning, only implied importance. Through collecting what the game refers to as mementos or tangible pieces of memory such as an old photograph or object from the past, Rosaline and Watts slowly move backwards through the timeline of John's life, peeling back each layer while inching their way towards understanding why exactly he wants to transcend the stars and reach the moon. This method of backward storytelling is equal parts creative and heart-wrenching, as the player already knows how the tale ends, with the man dying alone in his cliffside mansion years after his beloved wife River had passed away herself. But that's not the point. The point is, as Rosaline puts it, that the ending isn't any more important than any of the moments leading to it. I kept this in mind as I played through John's life in reverse, and I'll attempt to do the story justice while not summarizing it verbatim. First, we learn about his wife River's vague terminal condition, believed by the community to be leukemia, and her unwillingness to use the remaining funds for her medical bills. Instead, she insists on putting the money towards the couple's dream cliffside mansion, next to the lighthouse she lovingly named Anya. This cliffside mansion now, of course, plays host to John's deathbed as well. We also find out River is the creator of the hundreds of paper bunnies that litter their home, as we see her hand Johnny the last origami rabbit she would ever make. Unlike all the other basic white rabbits she's made for hundreds of times for the past couple decades, this final one, is blue with a yellow belly. John accepts the bunny and in return plays her a new song he wrote on the piano titled For River. Fast forwarding, or rewinding rather, through John's dying memories, we see the romantic dates with River, the confusing dialogue with his mother where she constantly refers to him as Joey, moments at school, and so on. We watch as River is diagnosed with Asperger's in her early adulthood, and then comes the first big clue. We see when he and River first met, or so he thinks. Going back through his memories, we get to John's high school days, where he admits to his friends that he really only wants to date River because she's weird and different. This is the beginning of an odd dynamic in which John reaches out for something different, while River never had the choice of being anything but. He approaches her, introduces himself, asks her out, and to his relief, she says yes. However, this introduction was unnecessary, as the two had met before, long time ago. Johnny had just forgotten, and for valid reason. Okay, so for the sake of clarity, this portion of the story will be told in chronological order. So going from his childhood, we learn that Johnny actually had a twin brother named Joey. That's important. So one day at a carnival, Johnny meets River for what was actually the first time in his life. Sitting under the stars, they gazed up upon the dark night sky and made a constellation of a rabbit, with the yellow moon as its belly, resembling the final origami rabbit she had ever made for him. They had vowed to come back the next year, the same carnival, the same night, the same time, and meet up again, and should they ever get lost, they would meet again on the moon. This gives us the motive for Johnny's final wish. Upon leaving her that day, he gives her the stuffed platypus that she holds on to until her very last moments. Shortly after, we're shown the tragic car accident that takes his twin brother Joey's life. This traumatic event pushes the mother over the edge, and she starts forcing Johnny to take these beta blockers to suppress the pain caused by the tragedy. Potential side effects, which include memory loss, combined with his young age, managed to completely erase his brother's death from his memory. Sadly, however, his meeting with River at the carnival that night was caught in the crossfire and is completely wiped from his memory as well, leaving his encounter with her in high school later on to be what he believes to be his first time ever meeting her. We thus learn that the entire time River had been making these weird origami rabbits which Johnny was concerned about, it had all been in an attempt to remind him of their first actual encounter. She used this roundabout way of communicating this idea to him, as her Asperger's made it difficult for her to express her thoughts and emotions directly. After decades of unsuccessful attempts, River creates one final rabbit. This time, as we know, colored blue with a yellow belly, replicating the moon and the stars they looked up at all those nights ago.
I just stood there, searching for an answer, when this world is no more, the moon is all we'll see. I'll ask you to fly away with me.
It had become clear to the two doctors who had observed all of these memories what must be done. River must be removed from John's memory at the exact point after they had first met at the carnival, removing all of his memories of their wedding, of River's diagnosis, the life he shared with her, and ultimately her death. This did mean, however, that his brother would be spared from the car accident, thus saving his memory of River at the carnival as well. With River now being removed from his life, he obviously never meets her again in high school, and so his motivation to go to the moon in hopes of seeing his childhood love would ignite a passion for space, fulfilling his final wish. Without knowing it, the man, dying unconscious in his coma, had wished and prayed and paid two scientists to effectively remove the love of his life from his life. This would be the only way of getting him to the moon. And so it's done. And as we watch the memories of River fade and be replaced with new ones of his brother, the person playing this can only hold one thing in the back of their mind. I hope River follows through. And to our teary-eyed surprise, she does. while in the real world, John passes away. Happy. If I were to review this game, I'd have to give it a 10. The music is so incredible you don't even realize it's literally the same 2 songs over and over. The 8-bit art style as well as the top-down pseudo JRPG elements work as an unintentional play on my own childhood memories of playing titles such as Final Fantasy and Pokemon. All of these masterful nuances took as much of a toll on my emotions as a story which played out more like an excellent novel rather than a video game. It almost seems unfair to compare it to other games of really any genre, as it's something so entirely unique, it would just be unjust to group it in with anything else I've ever played. To the Moon will never win any awards, will never be on Steam's homepage or see the widespread attention it so desperately deserves. But what it will do is stay with the people who are lucky enough to have experienced it for the rest of their lives. Like the platypus, the origami rabbits, and the lighthouse. This game will forever serve as a memento in my life. A cog in the machinery of my life story, slowly leading me to my own moon. Thank you.
Such a crazy